I'm here with Warren Barkley. Warren is head of product management for cloud AI at Google Cloud. Warren's portfolio includes generative AI, Vertex AI, and machine learning products. And I'm super excited to have him here for a rapid fire briefing on Google's latest announcements and updates in those areas. Warren, it's great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks very much, Sam. Great to see you again.
Great to see you again as well. Let's jump right in. So, Google Cloud has been on a bit of a tear lately with product announcements, with the company unveiling Vertex AI Agent Builder and AI hypercomputer at Google Cloud Next in April, the launch of Gemini 1.5 Flash language model, 2 million context length for Gemini 1.5 Pro, as well as a major update for the Imagen text to image model at Google I/O in May. And then in June, the company rolled out rounding for Gemini and Vertex AI. What's your take on where customers are in their journey with these products today?
Yeah, I think that last year was about experimentation, and this year is really about production. So we're seeing a lot of people go from we're playing with it. We might have had something that we're using internally to kind of validate, and now they're kind of going into production mode, seeing value from the products that they've been experimenting with, and so we're seeing tremendous scale over just the last 2-3 quarters as people are taking these out to their customers and starting to use them in lots of different types of agents and applications.
And as the market matures, how does that change the way you need to present and offer your products to these customers?
Yeah, I think that there's two pieces. One is, all of our models, whether it's Flash Pro, any of our third-party models, or other folks that like Anthropic or Mistral or OSS models, they all have to be wrapped in this enterprise shell that we've had for many years that has all the security goodness, SLA, and all that other fun stuff, right? And so I think that that's one of the pieces that we're seeing. The other thing is making sure that you have enough compute in different parts of the world. And so we're spending a ton of time and money and energy, expanding data residency in Europe and Asia and all over the place so that people can have, inference and prediction effectively, in their local spot.
One of the things that we've spoken about in the past and I've commented about broadly is Google's track record in talking about what customers are doing with generative AI across all of these announcements that I just mentioned. There are, typically a ton of customer case studies. Having seen all of those, what would you say are the most impactful customer use cases that you have seen and are continuing to see?
I think that for years we've talked a lot about document handling and some of the interesting things, insights you can get. But a lot of that type of stuff that we did with more traditional AI was, kind of OCR type stuff. Like, how can I get this information out of this doc to put it in some other place? Now, because of the power of unstructured, I can throw, 10,000 PDFs at the model and have it generate insights for you or get information out of it or categorize things. And so I think that's the place that we see, probably some of the biggest ROIs happening within that. Obviously, you have chatbots, and that's really gone to a different level. But some of that, kind of unstructured understanding of documents is something that we see, it's almost ubiquitous across our customers right now.
Any specific customer stories you can share about how folks are taking advantage of that?
I think in FinServe, we see some very interesting things around, taking quarterly statements and using those quarterly statements and then getting some sort of information out of them. Like, if I'm going to take 2 years of quarterly statements and go through those and find out, hey, what's the trends, quarter over quarter, what parts of the businesses are doing better, what parts of the business are doing worse, looking at those types of things, comparing the different parts of businesses based on those actual quarterly statements. We have a bunch of customers doing that type of stuff. We have customers who are doing a lot of interesting things around embeddings, so multimodal embeddings. And
Mhm.
so people like News Corp, who have taken their hundreds and hundreds of millions of articles and are getting more information out of them using multimodal embeddings models to be able to take that and understand more about their catalog So it makes it a heck of a lot easier to find things and then surface the right things to customers and surface things that customers didn't even know they were looking for, but in fact are related to topics. And so we see that those types of things as well happening at a whole bunch of our customers. Anybody who's got a catalog or something where they have a whole bunch of information that's unstructured, they're trying to get more things out of it so they can surface that and use it in a variety of ways.
What are the top challenges that you're finding customers running into today?
I think that one of them is hallucination, and I think that some people talk about it, but I think it's one of those things that you shouldn't stray away from. Like you really should kind of take it head on, and that's why we spend so much time with grounding and making it so that you can ground on your own corpus of data, ground on a Google search, ground on Moody's or Thomson Reuters or something like that. It's because hallucination happens because models aren't deterministic necessarily; they're probabilistic, and so because of that, you need to be able to use techniques like that to kind of reduce hallucinations. And so I think that enterprise truth that you can use your own data to ground the answers to the model, that's one thing. I definitely see that.
Briefly dig into high fidelity mode. This is a feature that instructs the model to stay more true to its context. So great for RAG use cases.
Exactly. You're basically using a type of instruction on the model that kind of eliminates or makes it almost zero chance to hallucinate. So tell the model really specifically, do not answer unless you really, really know. And I know that's a little bit of a simplistic, explanation of it, but that's effectively
Hmm.
what it's doing. And so it's not trying to creatively answer the thing, but for things like RAG, things that are really important to be super factual about. So, like health policy, those types of things, you can use this mode really to ensure that you get factual responses, because there are many cases where having no response is okay, and this effectively turns on that mode that says, "Hey, if I don't know what it is, I'm not going to tell you." I think customers also are trying to figure out exactly the kind of ML ops piece of it. So part of that is like doing evaluations of the models and how the models are performing and those types of things, and those types of, whether it's auto side by side evaluations or instant evaluation of different prompts and different models in production, is one thing that we spent a bunch of time in the last few months, shipping a bunch of tools on that. I think folks are working through that right now to kind of figure that out. So those are two kind of the big pieces that, if I see things that folks are having problems with, that they would be that.
And then taking a step back and thinking across all of the models and services that you've announced over the past several months, what are the top three that customers are most excited about now, or where you're really finding the most traction? I've got to imagine that the latest Gemini model is in that list, but from your perspective.
Yeah, I think Flash 1.5 has taken off like crazy. So it's
Hmm.
faster, it's cheaper, it's as performant as much much bigger models. Um, and that's one thing we've just seen that go crazy. People love that model because it's so fast. I think the other piece is that is people are like grounding. Grounding is a big deal. People are very excited about grounding and how they can use that. Um, the other one that I think people get quite excited about are is that big context window. So 2 million token, 1 million token with Flash, 2 million with 1.5 Pro. People are very excited about that, and so those are the kind of the three things that I hear about the most. Yeah.
Is part of what excites people about that context window coming from the document use case you described, or are there other use cases that are really driving interest in that context window?
Yeah, document use case is a big one. The other one is the fact that you can just load it with instructions, right? So, hey, I can load lots and lots of instructions with it, and I can change the data somewhat, but I can tell it exactly what I want to do. Or there's context you want to set with it, and that context, you can give a ton of context to something, even though the actual data that's changing that you're processing is not much. And that kind of leads to this whole context caching thing. So we introduce context caching so you don't have to reload all this context each time, and
Hmm.
you can ask different questions against it. We see that. So document instructions. Also, multimedia type things like audio. Audio is very interesting. A lot of people doing. I was talking to a startup yesterday doing some interesting things with audio. Video is another one where, hey, I want to take half-hour videos and I want to get themes. I want to find out where things are happening. Um, those are the ones that are kind of the top pieces in that big context window.
The big announcement at Google Cloud Next in April was the Vertex AI Agent Builder. It was kind of a broad vision for how enterprises would adopt dialogue based agents and generative AI. What can you tell us in terms of updates since that announcement?
Yeah, so we're continuing to innovate on that, codeless, low code environment, and so that continues to forward. We're also have a a full code agent API that will be coming shortly. It's in the hands of a few customers now. It's going to certainly get out there more broadly soon. And so we're continuing to kind of innovate in that whole agent area. And I think that's a very exciting kind of next step beyond models is things like, we already support open source things like LangChain and Llama Index and those types of things. But that orchestration layer, how do you deal with that orchestration layer in a smart way? How do you do extensions in a high quality way? Those types of things are places that we're innovating on right now with that agent platform that we have.
Looking ahead, where should customers expect to see continued innovation from Google Cloud?
We've already announced a video model will be coming. You'll see definitely multimodal output. So you have full multimodal input in our models now, but output certainly. Um, you- I think the third area is probably around the agent pieces, and how can we make that easier for developers? And so how can we make orchestration and debugging and evaluation and those things make that kind of very seamless. And so we've done a bunch of that already, but I think there's more for us to do in that agent area to make it easier for folks to, you know, do those kind of interesting logic flows using multiple models and getting them to do things for you.
Well, Warren, thanks so much for jumping on and sharing a quick update on all things Google Cloud.
Great. Thanks, Sam. I appreciate the time.